Marriage is often seen as a lifelong journey, one that begins with passion, commitment, and shared dreams. But as the years pass, many women find themselves feeling differently about their husbands than they did in their younger years. What was once love, admiration, or excitement may start to feel like frustration, resentment, or even indifference. While some assume this shift is simply due to growing apart or losing the spark, the truth is often far more practical. The way men and women age, the expectations placed upon them, and the evolving demands of life all play a crucial role in how a woman feels about her spouse over time. Many women don't necessarily fall out of love with their husbands. They become exhausted, disillusioned, and overwhelmed by the imbalance in their relationship. When you peel back the layers, it becomes clear that much of the frustration stems from very real, tangible, and practical reasons. 1. Unequal division of household responsibilities. For decades, women have taken on the lion's share of household responsibilities, even when they work full-time jobs. While modern society has encouraged more balance in gender roles, studies consistently show that women still perform the majority of domestic labor, from cooking and cleaning to emotional labor and caregiving. In the early years of marriage, many women accept this burden, believing that their husband will eventually step up or that they can manage it. But as they age, their patience wears thin. Years or even decades of handling the bulk of responsibilities, while their husbands remain blissfully unaware or minimally involved, leads to frustration and resentment. The exhaustion accumulates, making every minor issue feel magnified. Over time, what once seemed like small imbalances turn into overwhelming burdens, leading women to view their husbands not as partners, but as extra dependents who require more care than they contribute. Women often reach a point where they begin to reevaluate their own needs. After years of prioritizing family and household needs above their own, they start to wonder why they continue to carry this imbalance, especially when their husbands have had the luxury of more personal time and fewer domestic concerns. While men may see retirement as a time to relax, women often feel they are just shifting into another phase of full-time caregiving. The desire for a break from these roles is practical, not emotional. It's the exhaustion of a lifetime of carrying more than their fair share that fosters resentment. 2. Emotional disconnect and lack of deep communication. Emotional connection is one of the key factors that sustain a marriage over time. In the early years, couples often communicate deeply, sharing dreams, vulnerabilities, and feelings freely. But as life gets busier, raising children, managing careers, dealing with financial pressures, many couples stop prioritizing meaningful conversation. Women, in particular, crave emotional intimacy, and when their husbands become less communicative or emotionally unavailable, it creates a significant disconnect. Over time, many women feel like they are living with a stranger, someone physically present but emotionally distant. Many men, especially those raised in traditional households, struggle with emotional expression. While their wives may make repeated attempts to connect, they are often met with indifference, distraction, or a reluctance to engage in deep discussions. This lack of emotional intimacy isn't just frustrating. It can make a woman feel profoundly alone in her own marriage. Women want to be heard, understood, and valued beyond just their roles as wives and mothers. When they don't receive that validation, resentment begins to build. What once may have been shrugged off as just how he is becomes a deep source of dissatisfaction as the years go by. 3. Differences in aging and self-care. Another practical reason why women may start disliking their husbands over time is the stark contrast in how men and women approach aging and self-care. Women tend to invest more effort into maintaining their health, appearance, and well-being as they grow older. They pay attention to diet, exercise, skin care, and overall self-improvement. Meanwhile, many men become complacent, neglecting their health, gaining weight, and adopting a more sedentary lifestyle. While women are still making an effort to stay active and engaged, they often watch their husbands settle into unhealthy habits. And this can lead to frustration. It's not just about physical appearance, it's about lifestyle compatibility. A woman who wants to travel, stay fit, and remain socially active may find herself increasingly annoyed by a husband who prefers to stay on the couch, uninterested in new experiences. This mismatch in energy and ambition can create a wedge between partners. What starts as minor frustrations, his reluctance to go on walks, his preference for television over socializing, becomes a glaring issue that affects the quality of life in later years. A woman who still wants to make the most of her golden years doesn't want to be held back by a partner who has stopped putting in the effort. 4. The expectation of constant caregiving. As couples grow older, the burden of caregiving often falls disproportionately on women. Society expects women to naturally take on the role of caretaker, not just for their children, but also for their aging parents, grandchildren, and eventually their own husbands. When men experience health issues, it's often their wives who step up, managing medications, doctor visits, and daily care. But who takes care of women? All too often, the answer is no one. This imbalance becomes painfully obvious as couples enter their 60s and beyond. While a woman's life revolves around caregiving, a man often expects to be cared for without reciprocating. This creates a practical frustration. Women are exhausted, and yet the expectation remains that they will continue to give and give. Many women begin to feel like they are no longer partners in their marriage, but rather unpaid nurses. When this realization sets in, it naturally breeds resentment. Instead of enjoying their later years together, they feel trapped in a dynamic that no longer feels fulfilling or fair. 5. A desire for independence and personal fulfillment. One of the most significant yet practical reasons women start disliking their husbands as they age is the realization that they want more for themselves. After years of putting others first, children, spouses, families, they reach a point where they crave independence, personal growth, and experiences that are just for them. This isn't about falling out of love. It's about reclaiming their identity outside of being someone's wife or caregiver. Women in their later years often seek travel, hobbies, new friendships, or even new career paths. But many husbands, particularly those who have been used to their wives centering their lives around them, struggle with this shift. A woman who wants to explore the world or engage in new passions may feel stifled by a husband who resists change. This creates a frustrating dynamic where one partner is eager to embrace life while the other is content with routine. The more a woman realizes she wants to live fully, the more she resents a husband who doesn't support her growth or, worse, actively discourages it. Final thoughts. Women don't suddenly wake up one day and decide they dislike their husbands. The feelings of frustration, exhaustion, and resentment build slowly over time, rooted in very real and practical issues. Unequal household labor, lack of emotional connection, differences in aging, expectations of caregiving, and the desire for independence all contribute to this shift in perspective. These are not small issues. They are daily realities that compound over decades, shaping how a woman feels about her partner as they grow older. Understanding these dynamics is crucial, not just for women who feel this way, but also for men who may not realize how their actions or inactions contribute to their wife's dissatisfaction. Marriage in later years can still be fulfilling, but it requires effort, communication, and a willingness to evolve together. If both partners are willing to acknowledge these practical realities and make meaningful changes, they can redefine their relationship in a way that fosters connection rather than resentment. After all, growing older doesn't have to mean growing apart. It can be an opportunity to grow together, but only if both people are equally invested in making it work. Thank you for joining us today. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. See you in the next video.